So in the last half hour, we heard the UK economy grew by 0.8% in the first 3 months of the year. And it also fell slightly month on month in March. And so all of this adding up to fears increasingly of a recession.
Well, let's get the first reaction from the Government Minister. Justice Minister Victoria Atkins joins us now from Westminster. Yeah, first up, I wonder if could you give us your response to those latest figures on the economy?
Well, look, we know these are very challenging times. We're still dealing with the hangover of the pandemic. And of course, Putin's attack on Ukraine has very much made worse pressures such as energy prices. And so this is why this week with the Queen's speech, we were very much focused on producing a legislative framework to help grow our economy over the coming years. And, you know, last year we had the fastest growing economy in the G7 because of the actions that we took, the calls we made on things such as the vaccine rollout. We know that the figures are going down a bit now, but we very much are on track to grow our way out of this in 24-25. So it is difficult news. We're taking it very seriously, but we have a plan to deal with this in the coming months and years.
So the reassurance you're giving people this morning that is in 2 years' time, things might be better.
Yeah, look, at the moment we are, I think, the second fastest growing economy in the G7, second only to Canada. So we know that, you know, that international events are having an impact on the economy, and we know, importantly, they're also having an impact on people at home, which is why we've announced measures over the last month to do with energy prices, council tax rebates, and further support for people through the Household Support Fund. But we know that the macroeconomics, if you like, of the big economic picture of this is that there will be repercussions from Putin's actions building on top of the pandemic, sadly. This is why measures in the Queen's speech were so important, because we're planning very much for the future and to grow our way out of this.
I think a lot of people appreciate straight talking, Victoria Atkins, and I think maybe you've just given an insight into that, which is that there is at least 2, possibly 3 more years of very difficult conditions for people for which they have to be braced. Is that what you've just told us?
Well, no, this is the IMF predictions as to G7 growth, but we are very, very aware of people at home feeling the pinch through things such as energy prices, which is why, as I say, we're trying to help people in the immediate term with council tax rebates, with raising the national living wage and so on. But of course, the Chancellor has to look not just at people's pockets and purses, but also at the much larger economic issues such as inflation, such as growth, such as the international factors that over which we have, frankly, we do not control energy prices arising out of Russia's pressures on the energy market. We're all having to deal with this, and the US, the EU, they have higher rates, even higher rates of inflation than we do. We know that these are difficult times, but we are very much working to help people at home whilst very much trying to grow our economy nationally to help deal with these.
Yeah, you keep sort of quoting comparisons with other countries. To be honest, if you're sitting at home and you can't afford the food you'd like to eat or the bills you're trying to pay, that is of no consequence. What matters is what your government is choosing to do now to help you. Now, if I sort of caution you, try not to talk about things that you have already announced. What are the things you're planning on doing afresh?
Well, I very much accept the point you make about people at home being, concerned about what's happening in their households. I was just setting the international context because, sadly, energy prices
we've done that. So we've done. With Victoria Atkins, we've done that part of the interview. I've asked you very specifically to talk about the next thing you're going to do. I don't want to go backwards. Okay. I want to talk about what your plans are for what you're going to do.
I'm so sorry. I was just trying to explain the government's position because this is a really complicated issue, and I was just trying to give you a full answer. But what we've already done, because we were very, we listened to people's concerns. In April, we gave the £150 council tax rebate to try to help with energy prices. We've raised the national living wage for the lowest paid, which is a big deal, up to £9.50 with the help of employers. And we've also cut fuel duty by 5p. So people who are driving to school, driving to work today, we're trying to help you with the costs of that as well. But looking forward, we've announced that in July we're going to be raising the threshold of national insurance. What that means is that you will earn £12,500 and you will not be taxed either by income tax or national insurance on that first £12,500. And that is a big deal because we think 70% of workers will be better off as a result of that. Even with the health and social care levy that we've had to impose, they will be better off with that national threshold cut. That is a big deal. And then in the autumn, obviously, as temperatures fall, we start to have to heat our homes more. We have another tranche of council tax help in October to help with those bills. But the chance has been clear. We will absolutely keep this under review. We will, as we did through the pandemic, in fairness, we will keep everything under review and we will address issues as they're emerging.
Those phrases, Victoria Atkins, and I'm listening very carefully to what you're saying, those phrases that you use, and they're being used a lot at the moment, we'll keep things under review, they are meaningless if you can't pay a bill. They are meaningless if you're one of those people who's going to a food bank and then being told by a Conservative MP that the problem is not that you haven't got enough money, it's that you're not good enough at cooking. I'm looking at the comments of Lee Anderson. Those are the things that people are hearing. Do you want to make some reference to Lee Anderson's comments made yesterday?
Yeah, and if I can, because this is an interview, it's always a snapshot of where we're at on the day that we're doing the media round, clearly. We've also doubled the Household Support Fund, which is a really important fund for local councils. It's already in position. We've doubled it to £1 billion to help councils give money to the most vulnerable people, the people that in their local communities who most need it. So I very much urge people to have a look at that if they're finding things very, very difficult, to reach out to their councils for help. In terms of Lee Anderson's comments yesterday, I saw the debate and I think in fairness he was talking about his local food bank who was offering not just immediate help with food but also longer term support. And look, there are community groups around the country who try to help people not just in the short term but in the medium and longer term as well. So I absolutely, I do not agree with the headlines that I've seen in the papers today. Absolutely not. We as a government very much want to help people who are finding things tough at the moment.
I don't understand. Sorry, I'm very confused now. You don't agree with the headlines. Let's just go back to what was said. Lee Anderson said that at the food bank, which everyone agrees, food bank is a good thing that he's involved in. He said that people have to register for a budgeting course and a cooking course. So it's conditional. So you get the food if you agreed to be told how to cook. So do you agree with that?
Well, look, I'm not...
No, do you agree with that is the question.
Government does not, we do not want to tell people how to live their lives. But what I do know is that there are community groups around the country, and this isn't, these rules aren't set by central government. These are volunteers at the food bank. If I've understood it correctly, I'm not, familiar with that particular food bank. But if they have created these rules, I imagine because they believe that will help local residents. And so, I know that there are many community groups in my own constituency, the Orford Hub. They do great work trying to help people in a range of ways in the short term but also in the longer term, and I guess that sort of work of volunteers knowing their local communities, it's not frankly, for me to say that was wrong or that was right. I just think, you know, we want to help people in the immediate term. That is what we as a government are trying to do. But I'm, you know, very conscious that sometimes there may be issues such as people not understanding that they can claim certain types of benefit. We know, for example, there are 850,000 households who are entitled to pension credits but are not claiming them at the moment. You know, people understanding what may be available to them precisely to help them in these very difficult times.
Victoria Atkins, thank you very much.
Thank you.